The if-else statement is a variation of the if statement. So the basic syntax of the if-else statement is that you have this if part here. So if you have time, you can refer to the other video that explains this one, the if statement, and then you can follow it with an else section. All right. So what happens with this one is that if the if section fails, then you do this action. Okay, so that's basically a basic if else statement. So the other variation is the if else if statement. All right, so with this one you have your usual if part, and then you also have this else if. Now you can have one or more else ifs depending on the logic of your code. And then you can also add an else part. Okay. So what this allows you is that you can have multiple sets of conditions that do different actions for each of them. All right. So it gives you some sort of granular control on the different path that your code would take. Okay. So let's see how this would look like in a code example. So here we have a very basic one. So we have initialized a variable here of named score, which is set to 50. And then now we have our first if else statement. So in our if part, we have this condition wherein if the score is greater than or equal to 50, then you should get the message of you passed. Or else the default action would be to print out or send out a message that says you failed. Okay, so with this one, based on this one, we should be able to expect that we will get this you failed message, right? Since following this logic, since we've set the score 50, then it would basically fail from this if condition. Now if you run this one quickly, then we should be expecting that you have the you failed message. Okay, so if we do change this one and then try running again, then we would be expecting a you passed message, right? So which means that it satisfied this if condition. Okay, now let's look at another example. So the other one is the else if variation, and then let's comment this one first. Right, now this one, if you look at this one, you can see that we have multiple else if sections or parts. All right, and then we also have our else here wherein we execute a default action. So in this case, we go through several different conditions that need to be satisfied, and then our logic would go through here and then execute a specific code. All right, so in this case, if our score, which in our example here is still set to 80 with this one, right, then we should be expecting that we should get this message of you have 20 bonus points. All right, so if we try to run this one, then we should be expecting 20 bonus points. All right, which means that it did satisfy our first if condition. So now if we do change this one, for example, let's set this to 50, then what condition it would satisfy? If you guess it, it would be this one, then you are correct. Then we should be expecting a 10 bonus points message, which is what we have in our output here. Okay, so basically you can have as many else if parts in your code, and then yeah, you just do a specific action depending on what kind of conditions you want to satisfy. So basically that's uh, the point of the else if statements. Okay, and then lastly, if you have basically failed or very low score, let's try set it at 10 and then run this one, and then you'd end up with you have 0 bonus points, which means that you ended up with the default action, which is the else part. So that is your if else statement.